Welcome to Good Morning TBS, where we have the best news in the school.
Today we have Queen Elizabeth, Michelle Obama, Mansa Musa, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and Princess Kate. Michelle Obama, what are some of your accomplishments?
Some of my accomplishments are starting the Let's Move program and being the first African American First Lady.
What was the most important thing you did as First Lady?
The most important thing I did as First Lady is feed military families and feed homeless families and provide free laptops and computers for schools.
That's very kind. Where did your schooling get you in life?
My schooling got me to being a successful First Lady and lawyer. While I was First Lady, I wrote a book called Becoming.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg, how many lace collars do you have?
I object. Personal information. Next, please.
Oh, okay. How did you feel the first time you argued a suit as a lawyer?
I was kind of nervous, shaky, anxious. I didn't know if I was going to win that case for the person. I wanted them to be able to do what they wanted to do and have freedom.
Mm-hmm. What instrument did you play in your high school orchestra?
I played the cello. I may have been small, but that didn't stop me from going big.
We'll be right back after these messages.
Hi, I'm Pablo.
My name's Tyrone.
I'm Uniqua.
I'm Tasha.
And my name's Austin.
And we're
your backyard friends, the backyard.
And we are back. In this session, we will be interviewing Rosa Parks, Malala, and Frank.
Giannis Antetokounmpo and Babe Ruth. First up, we have Giannis Antetokounmpo. For our first question, sir, how was your childhood?
My childhood was bad because I had to be away from my mom and my dad to make money, and my two brothers came along to help. We made $500 a month, and it was all at a basketball camp.
Sorry to hear that. What was your best accomplishment?
My best accomplishment was when I took my team to the NBA Finals, and we won the championship. And my brother was with me, so he was really excited because it was his first time ever getting to the finals.
Well, congratulations. For our last question, sir, what was a problem that you had to face that was really hard?
My childhood, because I had to be away from my oldest brother because he didn't want to be near a whole lot of people. So he used to stay with my grandma to have a happier life because she had more money than we had. And we had to live with a friend until we moved to America.
I'm sorry to hear that, but congratulations. Now, Mr. Babe Ruth, for our first question, what was the team and position that you played when you first started the MLB?
Well, I first started with the Boston Red Sox, and my position was pitcher.
Cool. What was the most amazing thing that you've done?
Won 3 World Series and scored 714 home runs.
Well, that's congratulations. Amazing. And for our last question, what was the hardest part of playing baseball during this time?
Well, on the Yankees, I was batting, and people, when I just went out there, they were not cheering for me because they wanted me pitching, and they were saying boo to me when I was on the field doing batting.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that. But thank you guys for taking your time out of the day. We will now be entering a quick session of commercial break.
Okay, girls, I'm going to go make a copy. I'll be right back. Class was so boring.
It really was.
What are y'all making?
It's kind of crafting.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
No, Trinity. Oh, well, let me clean it up. I'll go grab some paper towels.
Miss O'Day is all out of paper towels.
Oh, no.
Here, let me help you.
Oh, no.
What are we doing? This is so sticky.
What are we doing?
We're stuck. I help.
Hey, what are you even doing?
We're stuck.
Uh-oh.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, you're stuck.
Are you guys stuck? How?
It's a long story.
Do y'all need help?
Yes.
No! You're gonna get stuck too!
Oh God. There's no one else in the advisory now.
Oh no. Wait, what about Trin?
She ran off after she spilled the glue.
She was the one who spilled the glue?
Yeah.
Well, she better come back.
Whoa, that glue I spilled sure is sticky. Let me help.
No!
Oh my gosh.
Oh my word. I leave you guys for 5 minutes to make a copy and you get into this sticky situation? Let me help you.
No!
Gorilla Glue for life's stickiest situations.
And we're back. Barack Obama, what was your biggest accomplishment?
I was the first African American president and 44th U.S. president.
Was it hard being president?
Yes, it was, because a lot of people were relying on me to take care of the country, and it's really hard to take care of one country with one person. And the person that I was against in the election was Mitt Romney, and the people that voted for Mitt didn't like the choices that I made, like promoting African Americans.
What are some interesting facts about yourself?
I'm the first U.S. president from Hawaii, and when I was president, I had 7 bodyguards.
Now, Gaines and Joe will be interviewing John Glenn.
John, why were you so fascinated with flying?
Why I was so fascinated by flying is because when I was younger, I loved making model airplanes, and I really liked watching airplanes fly by.
That's pretty cool. What did you have to do to be an astronaut, I wonder?
What I had to do to be an astronaut is I had to go through lots of training and tests to make sure I was able to go up into outer space. And one of those tests was to make sure I wasn't colorblind. And another training facility was a giant fan that would lift up whatever was in the box where that fan was.
What was it like to be the first American to orbit the Earth? Was it cool?
It was very fascinating. I felt like people would actually know me for the things that I did and the things that I loved to do.
That's very interesting.
We'll be right back after these messages.
Shop online for TBS gear.
And now we're back with Born and Brown and Jane Goodall. Born and Brown, what types of jobs did you have throughout your life?
The types of jobs I had throughout my life were a paleontologist and a spy during World War I and World War II for an oil company.
What is your legacy?
My legacy is being the first person to discover the first full T-Rex skeleton and many other dinosaurs.
That is very impressive. How did you become interested in becoming a paleontologist?
I became interested in becoming a paleontologist by discovering corals, clams, and shells when I was just a kid. And when I was in college, I was invited to spend the summers of 1894 to 1895 on fossil digs in South Dakota and Wyoming.
Jane Goodall, how old were you when you first started to like chimpanzees?
5 or 6.
What was it that caused you to start liking them then?
One day my dad came back from the zoo and gave me a chimpanzee, and I asked him and he told me it was a chimpanzee and it wasn't a monkey, and I asked him what the difference was, and he said that it's because a monkey has a tail and a chimpanzee doesn't.
How many countries have you been to?
59.
Which one was your favorite?
Africa.
Why is that?
Because when I was 10, I wanted to go to Africa, and when I figured out Africa had chimpanzees, I decided I would go.
What about Africa did you enjoy so much? How they were very nice and they let me stay in their forest to discover all the new things the chimpanzee did. What is the most interesting fact about chimpanzees? If you don't know what a chimpanzee acts like, you kind of do because they act just like you. Thank you guys for both joining us today. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm having a bad day and I really want some cookies, but I don't know which one I want. Here, try this. These are really good. You should try one. Thanks. Girl Scout cookies, the cookies that bring joy to the world.
Hi, I'm Abigail Carroll.
And I'm Abigail Matherly. Today we are going to be interviewing
Chuck Yeager.
and Amelia Earhart.
First up is Chuck Yeager. What is the biggest problem you ever had?
I faced many challenges in my career as a military fighter pilot and as a test pilot. But the biggest challenge I ever faced was closing and figuring out how to close the X-1's canopy. See, a few days earlier, I had been thrown from a horse and broke a couple ribs. And it was very challenging to get the canopy and the door closed on the X1. So I had a buddy of mine got a 10-inch broomstick, and I would stick it in the handle, and that kind of gave me the mechanical advantage to get the latch closed.
What was it like to fly the Bell X-1A?
The Bell X1 was a very fun airplane to fly. See, on any given day, I would fly about 15 different planes a day. And landing the X1 was always tricky, because you're landing about 230 miles per hour. I also had to land without any engines, and there was no second chances at all.
What was it like to break the sound barrier?
It was very exciting and exhilarating, but plane shook like you were being wrestled by a bull because of the shockwaves that would form on the wings and the tail.
Very interesting. Next up we have
Amelia Earhart. What did you name your first airplane? I named it the Canary. It was a small yellow plane, but I had to sell it for money to get a car. I took a small yellow car, so I still felt like I was in the air in that small plane.
What were your other accomplishments?
Flying across the Atlantic Ocean 2 times. Once with my manager, and the second time solo. And I also went third place in the Powerpuff Derby.
Wow. Who was around at the same time as you?
The Wright brothers.
Who did you marry?
I married my manager because he said I could keep my last name, and I thought I couldn't marry anyone because if I married them, they wouldn't let me have a career.
How long was your trip going to be, and how much of it did you have left?
My trip was going to be 24,000 miles, and I only had 7,000 miles left before I crashed.
We'll be back after this quick commercial break.
And welcome back. Today we'll be interviewing Athea Gibson. Athea, when did you start singing?
I started singing in 1935. That was the only time I could get a job because the people weren't treated right for their skin back then. So I went to this band with 3 black men, and it was very fun. 4 black men, I mean. And it was very fun to sing along with them. One time we went in this white limo, and I was sitting down, and then people were throwing flower petals everywhere to celebrate.
Wow, that's very interesting.
That's awesome. Athea, were your siblings annoying at all? They weren't too annoying. We didn't really have too many fights. They came to as many tennis practices that they could, but they couldn't really come because my sister Mildred had ballet, and my brother Daniel Jr. was getting boxing lessons for my dad. But I still had to help them with homework sometimes since I was the oldest.
That's pretty cool. Were you nervous when the Queen of England came?
I wasn't too nervous. When Queen Elizabeth II came, it was a little, I was like nervous, but it was scary. But she came to shake my hand. We became friends after that. It was a very good time I had.
Where did you go to play tennis, and were tennis courts around you?
Well, I went to play tennis at this place. It was a long time ago because I was younger. My neighbors in, I think, New York City, because I moved when I was very young, they bought me a tennis racket, and they got me signed up in a tennis place so I could practice and play tennis. And I did skip school a lot so I could play a lot. It was very fun, but I still got a scholarship, so it was very fun. And the Wimbledon first opened up when a famous white tennis player came, and she did a racism about black people not being able to play.
Well, did the first time winning Wimbledon make you happy?
It made me kind of happy. People always help me on the way, like a poem I made. It was not all the way happy. It was just very hard. There was a downside about it because they weren't prepared for how much strength and how much I could do, because they thought that I wasn't that strong, but I actually really was. Also because my dad taught me boxing and I was a boxing teacher.
Wow. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And we'll be right back for some more interviews.
I woke up to the sounds in the background, bouncing off the walls so they find their way to me. I don't wanna feel a thing when I fall down, bring me back around to reflect reality. I woke up to
Cool kicks. Thanks, man.
And we're back. Now we will be interviewing Oprah Winfrey and
Juliet Gordon-Low.
Why did you start a book club?
I started my own book club because me and my friend love to read books, and then we trade them out and meet again and then talk about them. But then I said I'd love to talk about them in front of an audience. So then I said we should make a book club so that way people would know where to get the books. So I started my book club, so then when we meet up, I tell them what book we're going to be reading, and then they go to my book club, and then they find the book, and then we meet back up, and we talk about them.
That must have been fun. Why are you so forthright?
I call myself forthright because I speak loud and clear for people to be able to hear me, and I'm straightforward and honest to people I talk to.
That's really good. What was your biggest accomplishment?
My biggest accomplishment was to be the first Black female billionaire and to have my own talk show called the Oprah Winfrey Talk Show. I also had my own network called the Oprah Winfrey Network and to start my own book club.
Wow.
Next, I'm going to be talking to Juliet Gordon-Low. What did you do as a child?
Well, so my father was at war, so I didn't really see him that much. And I would mostly play with my pets, my sisters, and my brother.
That sounds like fun. What did you do when you grew up and got married?
Me and my husband traveled the world, and we went to Egypt, and we saw the Great Pyramids. We would go to India and ride elephants. And soon he had a stroke, and he died because of it.
That's sad. Why did you decide to make the Girl Scouts?
Well, it all started after my husband died because of a stroke. I found this little country with two types of scouts, the Boy Scouts and the Girl Guides. And when I saw the Girl Guides, I thought that America needed something like this because my childhood was filled with ladies just sitting around and doing nothing. So I stepped up and showed the world that girls could do anything they want to do.
That's amazing.
And we will be right back after these messages on Good Morning TBS. Welcome back, TBS, and welcome Shaun White and Muhammad Ali. Shaun White, how did you do in Beijing, China when you were snowboarding?
So, on my first two runs in Beijing, China, I did pretty well, but on my third one, not so well because I went up on my second jump and I went up in the air and I fell.
What was going through your mind when that happened?
I was bummed, but happy with my score. But the reason why I was bummed was because I tried to get a really good score on my last run.
What were your feelings after getting ready to perform in the semifinals?
Nervous but confident.
When did you start snowboarding for the Olympics, and how were you feeling during the first time in your Olympics?
In 2002, I tried qualifying for the Olympics, but I fell 0.3 points behind for qualifying. But in 2006, I did qualify, and until 2018, I got all gold medals.
When you were a kid, did you have any brothers or sisters?
Yes, I had two brothers and one sister, and one of my brothers taught me how to do cool tricks.
Thank you, Shaun. Muhammad Ali, what influenced you to start boxing?
When I was 12 years old, my mom and dad had just bought me a brand new bike, which was $60. And so back then, that would have been a lot of money. And so me and my friend decided we would go ride our bikes to go see a movie. After the movie was over, I found out that my bike was stolen because it wasn't there where I parked it. And so I was so upset I went to report the thief to the police officer. And I found out his name was Joe Martin. And I said to him, "Whoever stole my bike, I'm going to hit them." And he said, "But first, I think I need to train you."
Wow. Was it hard to live with Parkinson's disease?
Yes, it was hard to live with Parkinson's disease. And Parkinson's disease is a disease that destroys nerves in your body. And so it was a very tough time. I wasn't even able to walk and I wasn't able to talk.
That sounds horrible. Why did you refuse to go to war?
I refused to go to war because, for one, I would be fighting people I did not know in a fighting style I did not know, and a place that I did not want to fight. And so I was supposed to go to jail for 5 years. But then I raised my reason why I should not to make it so that I would go to 3. And then eventually I was able to raise it so up to the Supreme Court, the highest court in the land. And then they decided that I would not go to jail.
Thank you, Shaun White and Muhammad Ali. Don't go far, TBS, because we have more interviews coming your way.
Bitten by a witch spaghetti noodle, and you're a real Ford man. As you can see right there, it's a Raptor truck. You wanted your truck to be built like a dinosaur. This thing has 200 quadrillion horsepower. You press the accelerator slightly, and you are going the speed of light. It's got great suspension.
This is a Nintendo commercial.
Welcome back, TBS. My name is Ryan Crocker, and today we will be interviewing Kobe Bryant and Fallen Taylor. Welcome, both of you. Kobe Bryant, do you like your job being a basketball player?
Yes, I love it, and sometimes I just don't enjoy it because people just try to cheat, and I don't really like it when they do that.
What type of practicing do you do?
I practice long shots, normal shooting, and slam dunks.
As a basketball player, what things do you enjoy doing?
I enjoy trying to block players from trying to try to slam dunk and other things like that.
That must be fun. Do you miss your family when you were off playing basketball?
Yes, because sometimes they can make it and sometimes they can't.
What is your middle name and is there a meaning for it?
My middle name is Bean, and I got my middle name from my father. His nickname was Jelly Bean, and so that's where I got my middle name from.
Thank you, Kobe. Now, Fallen Taylor, how much money have you won on your horse Baby Fun?
I have won over $1 million on her. She's so special to me and my family. I'll never, ever be able to repay her back.
How old were you when you went to your first national finals rodeo?
I was 13 years old, and I was the youngest to compete ever at the national finals rodeo. I won my mare Flowers and Money and my stallion Dr. Nick Ball.
That's amazing. Why did you become interested in barrel racing?
I became interested in barrel racing. I used to watch the Muskegee Championship rodeo every day after school. One year, my parents took me to watch it live and in person. After they said, "What does it take for her to compete?" And I said, "It takes a pro rodeo permit and a horse." And the next day I turned pro.
Thank you. Thank you both of you for coming out here.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
When we come back, we will have more interviews coming your way.
Welcome back to Good Morning TBS. I'm Janice Burnett, and this is my co-host, Kelsey Carnegie. Today we'll be interviewing
Wilbur Wright and Catherine Wright. What was one frustrating moment that you have experienced?
When our mom had tuberculosis, it's so sad for us.
Sorry.
And when Wilbur got type of fever in the middle of our work, it was very frustrating because then we had to take certain breaks because we couldn't really work on our plane because we had to take time to help him.
That makes sense. What was your most favorite invention that you have ever made?
So probably the plane. You guys probably know about that. That was very it was a very good time in our life because then everybody got to know who we were and we were very famous, but no one really knew us before. And she helped a lot on that too, right?
Yes.
Yeah. You want to tell them?
Okay. How was your life with your siblings when you were young?
Quite well. I mean, quite well. So, yes. We once had this bat that our dad brought home, and we were throwing it, and it broke. I didn't do it.
Gonna say
She did it!
You did it?
No, you did it.
You know you
Okay.
Totally did
Please
it.
no fighting on the set. Did you sell anything?
Yes, I sold the Van Cleve for $60, and that was a bike that I thought could fly.
He also sold the kittens.
It's not a machine. Well, yes, I did sell the kittens. That was for my friends, and I got that from a charity nearby, wherever it was.
We'll be back after this commercial break.
Welcome back, but this time we're interviewing George Washington Carver and Steve Jobs. First up, George Washington Carver. What did you know about plants when you were a child?
I knew so much about plants when I was a child. I would always help my neighbors. I would tell them to put their plants here or there because their plants were never growing.
What bumps in the road did you have as a child?
I really wanted to go to school, but I had to walk 8 miles to the closest one that allowed people to have skin color of black.
What's something you will never forget in your whole life?
When I was a child, me and my mother were stolen in the night. Luckily, I was found on the side of the road, but bad news is my mother was never found.
Very interesting. Next up we have Steve Jobs. He seems lost his voice today, so he is going to be holding up signs. What company did you create? I heard that you said, my job is not to be easy on people. My job is to make them better. What does that mean? Thank you. We'll be back after this quick commercial break.
Something wrong with your car? Come down to Kobe George Motorsports or go to KobeSaysYes.com. That's KobeSaysYes.com.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today we have Chris Paul and Helen Keller. So, Chris Paul, when you were a child, did you get along with your brother very well?
Yes, me and my brother were practically best friends, and we were always found on the court or studying together.
On the court or off the court? How are you helping your hometown and why?
I am always helping my hometown, and I'm also helping other states. Like after Hurricane Katrina, New Orleans got flooded very, very bad, and I helped rebuild some of their houses.
What is your hometown?
My hometown is right down I-40 in Winston-Salem.
Wow. Do you miss being there and why?
Yes, I do miss being there because my parents and my brother still live there, and I live in Arizona because that's where my stadium and where I practice is.
Thank you for that. Okay. Helen Keller, were you born deaf and blind?
I was not born deaf and blind. I became deaf and blind at 19 months old, which is 1 year and 7 months, by a disease that I was supposed to die to, but instead became deaf and blind.
Did you ever go to school?
I did go to school, but only high school and university, which is how I became the first deaf and blind person to earn a college degree. But during my early life, I did have a teacher named Ann R.A. Sullivan. She came when I was 6 years old and helped me with things like Braille, speaking, reading, and writing. She communicated to me by, first she taught me the word water. She put my hand in water and used my other hand and wrote in it. Many, many times she spilled water. And then soon I knew what that word was. She taught me many other words too.
That is very impressive. You are quoted saying, the best and most beautiful things in the world cannot be seen or even touched. They must be felt within the heart. What do you mean by this?
Well, one day my teacher said that she loved me. I did not know what love was, so I asked her, what is love? She replied, love is not something you can see or touch. It is something that you can feel in your heart, and it is very beautiful. So that is what the quote means. It means love.
Wow, that is very deep. Thank you for watching. This is a Morning with TBS. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
And we're back. John, in your words, how would you describe zero gravity?
It's like floating.
How does zero gravity affect you when you're in space?
It weakens my bones.
And I have heard of a story about something that happened on your ship. Can you tell us about it, and where did it go?
I lost the thing I needed. It flew back my ship and I never saw it again.
Now, James will be interviewing John F. Kennedy.
John, what was your childhood like?
It had its ups and downs. Some of the downs included that my brother would always pick on me. I got scarlet fever and my mom would never really be there whenever I needed her the most. But there's also good things too, like I had a big family to play with, and I would go outside to play tag in the backyard. And we also loved to sail, which explains the clothes that I have on.
Interesting. What was it like being president?
It was hard because a lot of people protested against my thoughts on civil rights, and it was hard being the president during the Cuban Missile Crisis because everyone was scared, and in a quick chat with the Russian general, stopped all the peril.
That's very interesting. What were some major accomplishments?
Some of my major accomplishments include me proposing the need for the Civil Rights Act in the past after I died, And I also started a new space program, and I also started a Peace Corps.
That's a very interesting fact. We'll be right back after these messages.
Good morning.
Good afternoon.
Thank you.
Now that's a good math student. To be a good math student, you need to be awake. Next, you need to make sure you're making good use of your class time, like these gentlemen right here. You also need to pay attention.
Lily, focus.
And that's how you be a good math student.
And we're back. Queen Elizabeth, when did you become queen? June 2nd, 1953 at age 25. What is your favorite part of your family? I love all my family, but my favorite are my grandchild. What kind of work do you do to help others? I attend in public events and charitable organizations. I help sick people with low income and promote reading clubs.
Princess Kate, what is an interesting fact about being a duchess?
I get to travel to a lot of places. I get to go in the palaces and gardens where the public can't go.
What do you like to do for fun?
I like to decorate cakes, play with my children, Louis, Charlotte, and George, and play some sports.
What is most important to you?
My charity's Place to Be and the Anna Freud National Center for Children and Families, playing with my children, and Charlotte, Louis, and George, and my husband, Prince William or Duke of Cambridge.
Mansa Musa, what are you known for?
I'm known for being the richest man in history and developing cities such as Timbuktu and Gao, two important cities in Mali. I turned the Kingdom of Mali into a major learning center for the Islamic people. I'm also known for my historic pilgrimage to Mecca. Mecca is where the Prophet Muhammad was born.
How did you become one of the richest men of all time?
How I became the richest man of all time is because my cousin and predecessor sailed into the Atlantic to see if the earth was flat and never returned. I became king when he never returned. I inherited an already prosperous kingdom.
Why did you give out gold?
I gave out gold because my historic pilgrimage to Mecca. Mecca is the holy city. I took 60,000 people carrying gold and silks. I gave out gold and silks to the poor people in the villages along the way. I gave out so much gold that the market crashed by 20%. On my way back home, I had to buy all the gold back.
Now we will go to a commercial break.
And we are back again. We will be interviewing Rosa Parks, Malala, and Anne Frank. First up is Miss Parks. I heard that you said, people always say that I didn't give up on my seat because I was tired, but that isn't true. I was not tired physically. No, the only tired I was tired of giving in. What did you mean by this?
What I meant by this quote was I was tired of the unfair laws, being told what to do, and having to give up my seat just because I was a different color than a white man or white woman.
Wow, that was very brave of you. What were you feeling when you said no to the bus driver?
I knew I was probably going to get arrested because people have done this. Some people have gotten killed, hurt, or sent to jail, and I got sent to jail.
Wow. What was it like when kids threw trash at you when you were walking home from school?
I was frustrated because I think they're trying to brag that they could ride it, and I couldn't. And I had to get home very quickly because my ill mom, my sick grandma, because my brother didn't know how to do it. And the only solution was to move off the road. It didn't work because I still had to pick up the trash and it slowed me down.
I would be so mad. Now that you are so confident and brave, Miss Parks.
Thank you.
Now we will be moving on to Malala. Why did you win the Nobel Peace Prize? I won the Nobel Peace Prize because I gave many quotes and speeches, and I was fighting for women's right to leave the house and go to work, and girls' right to go to school and for education. Wow. How did your injury affect your
Determination.
It affected my determination because first I had to take the time to get better, and then I had to keep on fighting for women and girls' right to go to school and work. When did you think you wanted to start standing up to the Taliban? Why? I wanted to start standing up to the Taliban when I was around 8 to 10 because I saw on videos and other places that it wasn't right. So I wanted to make a difference.
Good job.
Now we will be moving on to Anne Frank. What was it like in the annex?
Well, we were in the annex for 2 years, and it was really horrible because we were hiding from adult soldiers, and we had 2 other families that stayed with us, and we didn't have much food and water.
I bet that was really difficult. What was it like in the concentration camp?
Well, that was also really bad because when we got there, all women had to get their hair cut off because Adolf and his soldiers thought that women shouldn't have hair, and they made the women and men do a lot of hard work and if you had like a kid, you would have to take care of them all by yourself, and we also didn't get any food or water. That sounds horrible.
That sounds horrible. What happened to your family when you died?
Well, me and my sister both died from typhus, which is a little bug that carries the disease, and it gets in your hair, and it's really hard to get out. And I died 2 weeks after my big sister Margot, and my mom died from starvation. And once my dad figured out that we died after World War I, he went back to Amsterdam and published books about me and my diary because I've always wanted to write a book.
That's cool.
Well, that's all we have for you today. But remember to stay positive and follow your dreams. So maybe you'll be interviewed someday.
And make sure you spill the history tea.